Alright, first of all, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Akim out there who are pushing this word in all sincerity and all truth. Alright, this lesson is going to be focused on the upcoming war between China and America, right, and how the Caribbean will be impacted by this, right. For the past several months, starting in January, there has been a trade war between the U.S. and China, started by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, right, who has levied very heavy taxes on the importation of Chinese goods, into the American economy, right, which China has replied with in kind by also, increasing tariffs and taxes on U.S. goods going into China, right. So there has been this tit for tat trade war for the past almost a year, right? And then also there have been build-up of military tension, right? As the U.S. Navy has been making rounds in the sea between China and Taiwan, right? The U.S. has also been selling a lot of arms to Taiwan, right, and making a lot of economic investments in Taiwan, right? Which China is against, right? Because China sees Taiwan as just as a part of its province. They are the same people, the same culture, the same language, right? But just two different governments. And China, right? The ultimate goal of China, one of the ultimate goal of China is to reunite Taiwan with the mainland, right, as one official country. But America is undermining that plan, right? And this is one of the things that angers China, right? And a lot of the moves that China is making throughout the world, buying allies, with their economic investment, is to change the worldview, right? Because right now I think there are about 18 countries, if I'm not mistaken, who still recognize Taiwan as an independent nation, right? The majority recognize Taiwan as just a part of China, right? So this war between China and America, between also Russia and America, right, between also Iran and America, and ultimately also between EU and America is imminent. But we're going to focus on the conflict between China and America and in this lesson. This is RT, Russia Today, and this was posted on October 30th, 2018, so just a few days ago. It says China's Xi that's the president, tells military to prepare for war as U.S. Navy warns of high sea encounters, right? And this is a very serious statement, when the president of a country, right, tells his army to prepare for war with another country. It means that we're on the brink, right? We're in exciting times, as the apostle, the Elder Tahar, said 2018 was the year of prophecy, and we've seen so many things occur in the spirit of prophecy, or we've seen so many events take place leading us up to that great Third World War, right? That Armageddon, mountain of troops, right? And we've also seen a lot of moves with the R5D ship, which is the mark of the beast. So we're nearing the end. Let's get into the article. It says, Chinese President Xi Jinping told military officials responsible for the disputed South China Sea to be better prepared for war as tension with the US are rising. Beijing may be bracing for a worst-case scenario with the US. Xi made the blunt remark last week as he was meeting the Southern Theater Command, the military officials responsible for one of China's 5 strategic war zones. The calls were made on Thursday as part of his 4-day visit to Guangdong province, but the Chinese state media reported them only on Friday. It's necessary to strengthen the mission and concentrate on preparations for fighting a war, President Xi said. We need to take our complex situation into consideration and make emergency plans accordingly. We have to step up combat readiness exercising, joint exercises and confrontational exercises to enhance servicemen's capability and preparation for war. One of the key responsibilities of the Southern Theater Command is to protect China's interest in the South China Sea, where Beijing claims sovereignty over a number of islands, including Taiwan. Right? The sea is of strategic importance to Chinese trade. The U.S. rejects the territorial claims and has been sending so-called freedom of navigation missions through the waters and airspace, which Beijing considers its own, and a gesture of defiance. Chief of U.S. Naval Operations Admiral John Richardson said Tuesday the U.S. and China will meet each other more and more on the high seas as the two nations confront each other in the South China Sea. Xi's remarks are a sign of irritation that the Chinese government has accumulated about the policies the Donald Trump administration believes Victor Gao, director of Chinese National Association of International Studies. The U.S. has been pushing China around, humiliating China, imposing unilateral tariffs on Chinese exports, and also declaring China as its rival and a major threat to the U.S. survival. Xi is preparing for the worst case scenario, right? It says, Gao said Beijing is not certain about Washington's policies vis-a-vis China, so the military will be ready to prepare for the final showdown with the United States. Considering that both nations have nuclear weapons, an open war conflict may lead to Armageddon involving mankind as a whole, right? And that's the spirit, yo. That's the spirit right there, right? Because everybody that's watching, right, and that's paying attention to current global economics and current global politics will realize that we're leading up to this third world war, yo. We're leading up to that Armageddon war, right? And there's a reason why he used that word, yo, because that's the spirit of prophecy going about, yo. That's the angel going about and stirring up war in the minds of the people and preparing for the fulfillment of the prophecy, yo, right? So how does this affect the Caribbean, right? Because we see inevitably there will be a war between China and America. How does it affect, right? Well, this is how it affects it, yo. Let me see if I can bring up something else before I went into articles. De-dollarization, right? Right. So yeah. So we see there are many different news articles on this and videos. De-dollarization, top 5 states drifting away from the greenback. Global de-dollarization sees the rise of the Chinese yuan and power, right? Weaponizing the US dollar is accelerating global de-dollarization. The world trends toward de-dollarization. Putin backs de-dollarization plans, right? Global de-dollarization accelerates as Putin backs the plan, right? De-dollarization continues. China, Iran to eliminate greenback from trade, right? The de-dollarization in China, BRICS, and the fiction of de-dollarization, which is not a fiction because it's actually happening, right? So the reason why I'm noting these titles of these articles is to show you that China and its allies, the BRICS nations, are moving away from using the US dollar, right, as a means of international trade. Right, the U.S. dollar was defined as the petrodollar, right? Back in the let's see if I can remember when it was. Can't remember the exact year, but it was declared by Saudi Arabia, who got military aid and financial aid from America. It was declared by them as a part of that deal to only trade and sell their oil in the U.S. dollars, right? So that way, the American dollar became the world reserve currency for oil. Right, so all countries had to have US dollars on hand in order to buy oil, right? Especially from Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia constitutes the largest producer of oil in the market. They are 25% market share, right? So they could control the cost of oil, right? By ramping up production, they could drive down the prices. By slowing down production, they could drive up the prices, so they could manipulate prices on hand. So the US dollar was an important part of world trade when it came to oil. So now countries that are in the BRICS nation, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Venezuela, Turkey, right, are looking to de-dollarize, meaning to stop using the US dollar in international trade. Right, all these countries are looking to using gold, Chinese yuan, or their national currencies to trade oil and goods. Right, so that's an undermining of U.S. hegemony. Because if the world stops using the US dollar, then the US economy will crumble, right? And right now there are a lot of deals being made between Europe and between China, right? So all those deals that are made between Europe and Russia, Slovakia, right? Because Russia one of the largest, is the largest supplier of natural gas in the region, and Russia and EU needs that, right? And there are also other things that Russia exports that Europe needs, right? So Europe right now, especially Germany and France, are strengthening economic ties with Russia, and if they continue to strengthen those ties in order to do business with Russia, they will need to de-dollarize, because Russia is de-dollarizing. Right? So if EU starts to de-dollarize, then that's it for the US, and the US knows this, right? Which is why they are preparing for war, right? Which is why the world right now is preparing for war, right? But how does that, like I said, how does that affect the Caribbean? This is how, right? This is from the gis.gov.jm, and it was posted July 20th. So this year, earlier on this year, it says Prime Minister Andrew Holness invited for historic official participation at a BRICS summit. Right, this is a very important milestone. This is a very important event, right? So the Prime Minister of Jamaica, Andrew Holness, has been specially invited to attend and participate, in the 10th BRICS Summit set for July 25th to 28th at the Sandton International Convention Center in Johannesburg in South Africa. The historic invitation makes Prime Minister Andrew Holness the first ever head of government in Jamaica and the Caribbean to take part in a BRICS summit. BRICS is an acronym for the grouping of the world's leading emerging economies, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The summit is convened annually with discussions spanning several areas, include global economic, environmental, and socio-economic coordination. So what does that mean? This means that this is an invitation to Jamaica to join the BRICS nations, right? We see Chinese influence and Chinese investment in the Caribbean and Central America, rapidly expanding. And this is why, to create economic allies and to create political allies right in the US backyard. And we're going to show you the myriad of examples over that, I just typed in Chinese takeover of the Caribbean. Why is China spending billions in the Caribbean? This was the 22nd of April 2011. So this goes back years. Right? It's a YouTube video. Is China taking over the Caribbean? Right, this was posted November 2013. China is slowly taking over the Caribbean and Africa, September 2017. Chinese taking over Jamaica, 16th of July 2017. Again, Chinese taking over Jamaica, 1st of September 2017. Jamaica experiences a Chinese invasion, right, 4th of July 2017. Chinese investment in Jamaica and the region growing, filling the void, China's expanding Caribbean presence. China buying control of the Caribbean, the trumpet.com. And this one I think we can get into because it has some important information, right? It was posted in the Trumpet on May 4th of this year. It says China buying control of the Caribbean, the short and long-term ramifications of China investment on America's doorstep. China is buying allies. The last finance friendship is with the Dominican Republic. Beijing's ability to buy alliances is having an alarming success rate. Despite this, the West seems content to allow the policy to continue unhinged. Nowhere is this blasé approach more dangerous than in the Caribbean and Latin America. Using economic incentive to control the policy of other nations is not new to China. The Trumpet has reported on Beijing's investment policy for years. Infrastructure and investment projects are often used as leverage, particularly with poor nations, always in places where it serves China's purposes. Recently, we highlighted instances in Sri Lanka and Vanuatu. The Dominican Republic is no different. In every instance, the targeted nations have something China wants. Right? Let's look at the example with Dominican Republic. It says short term taking Taiwan. On May 1st, a financial advisor to the Dominican Republic, Flavio Dario Espinal, announced that the country was shifting its policy on Taiwan. As of Tuesday, the Dominican government sees Taiwan as a province of China. The foreign ministers of China and the Dominican Republic then signed off on a change. So this is one of the reasons why China is going about making economic investments in the so-called New World, in the Caribbean and in Central America. To what? To buy over alliances, right? To buy alliances, right? So Jamaica is no different from that, Jamaica is no different from that, right? And let's get to some other ones I have here. US on Chinese investment in Jamaica. That's what I googled. And the results were Chinese investment in Jamaica and region growing. US $6 billion Chinese investment, a game changer for Jamaica, right? Bilateral trade between Jamaica and China expanding. Caribbean must dynamically engage with China. That's per Jamaica Observer. Chinese investment, the business year. China now the biggest source of foreign direct investment for Jamaica, right? Samuda encouraged, which is a Jamaican politician, Carlos Samuda, encourages Chinese to continue investing in Jamaica. Chinese good for Jamaica, says Holness, which is our Prime Minister. China increases investment in Jamaica. Beijing Highway, 600 million road, just the start of China's investment in the Caribbean, right? So there are so many examples of articles and news reports that are showing you that Chinese investment in Jamaica and the whole Caribbean as a whole is increasing rapidly. And that's not out of the goodwill of China's heart. They're not just going around saying that they want to be, a charity. China is not going about being a charity country, yo. They're buying alliances, political and economic alliances, yo. Right in Jamaica, right in America's backyard. Right? So how will this affect us? It will affect us because recently Mike Pompeo, right, came to Jamaica, and I believe under Barack Obama, the Secretary of State, also came to Jamaica, right? And they said to the Caribbean, to the Jamaican government, that I hope, I think it's somewhere along the line, that I hope the friendship, for lack of a better term, I can't remember the exact word, the friendship between America and Jamaica can continue, which was pretty much a euphemism for a threat, saying that, you better get yourself in order before something happens to you, right? And right now, Jamaica is making an ally out of one of America's most dangerous enemies, according to Trump, right? Because Trump sees China, right, as what? Let me read this again. It said the U.S. has been pushing China around, humiliating China, imposing unilateral tariffs on Chinese exports, and also declaring China as its rival and a major threat to the U.S. survival. So if America has declared China as a major threat and to their survival, right? What does that mean for Jamaica, who is in the backyard of America, right? Increasing and strengthening economic ties with China, right? That means that we are making ourselves an enemy, right, of the U.S. right in their backyard, right? And starting from the Elisha part down here, we have been saying that Jamaica going to either be invaded by the U.S. or by China, One out of the two, right? One out of the two. We're going to have to pick sides, Let's get into the precept before we wrap up. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim you this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. And that's exactly what Xi Jinping said to his army. Prepare for war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. What does that mean? It means spend more money on your military rather than for farming and feeding the country. Right? Let the weak say, I am strong. Right? China was once a weak nation. Iran was once a weak nation. India was once a weak nation. Right? At one point, even Russia was weakened. Right? But now they are saying that they are strong. They are de-dollarizing. They are saying that they don't need America, Even Venezuela. Right? Even Venezuela. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord, which are the angels. Right? So let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. Right? Which when you go in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment or Yahweh's decision. For there will I sit to judge all heathen round about. Right? It says, put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get ye down, for the press is full and the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decisions, which is Yahweh Shaphat. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Right? And that's coming, That's the Armageddon that was quoted in the RT article, Right? It says, Considering that both nations have nuclear weapons, an open war conflict may lead to an Armageddon involving mankind as a whole. That's what's coming, yo. That's what's coming. Armageddon, right? Armageddon. I believe that's how it's spelled. Let's get that preset. Alright. And this corresponds to Joel 3 and 9 that we just read. This is Revelation chapter 16, I'll start at verse 15. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he that watcheth and keepeth his garment, lest he walk naked and they see shame. Right? So brothers have to continually watch, yo. Brothers have to continually push out the work. Right? That's what it's talking about. Keeping your garment, keeping the spirit about you, yo. Keeping yourself wrapped in the spirit. Right? Clothed in his spirit, yo. Right? Least he walk naked. Right? Least he walk without protection. Least he walk without the Most High's covering, yo. And they see shame. And he gathered them together, and he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew Armageddon, right? Which, if you look it up, it's come from the Hebrew Armageddon, which means mountain of troops, right? Which is the same Yahweh Shaphat, that valley of decision that's talking about over there in the Middle East, yo, because they're gonna be a major conflict, a major buildup of military presence over there in the Middle East, yo. We're not saying that it won't affect other areas of the globe, because we know the Caribbean is going to be affected, and we know the U.S. is going to be burnt to smithereens, right? But over there in the Middle East is going to be one of the major buildups of military activity, yo. Right? So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. Right? Kalalal Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, forgive me the spirit.